I never thought that simple facial exercises could transform not just my face, but give me the confidence that I needed and bring me back my glow, making me feel like I'm in my 20s again. I'm 33 years old. I have never had any invasive procedures or Botox, anything in that nature. I have never even bought facial creams to put it on that perspective. So that was the kind of the starting point of me noticing some differences when I had just entered my 30s. I noticed that I had more of a puffy face. More than a year ago, almost a year ago, starting in March, I started a face yoga teacher training with Fumiko Takatsu, who is the creator of the face yoga method. Best face yoga teacher training. If you ever want to do one, do it. It's transformative. When I started the teacher training, I went in there. Fumiko asked us, why do you want to do this training? And my answer in my journal was, I don't like the way I look. I don't appreciate my face. And the only thing I was doing before was eating correctly and doing some yoga, which helped me get back into my weight, or get me back into the weight that I was before pregnancy. But I was doing a little bit of gua sha and a little bit of wood therapy. If you know what that is, it's just these specific tools that you do, and you do a little bit of lymphatic drainage. But I didn't see any differences. So how I learned about face yoga, I learned about face yoga through Facebook. And then it started popping up. And you know, when you start Googling something, or you start kind of diving deep into it, you start seeing it also on other algorithms. Like I started seeing it on Facebook, or I started seeing it on YouTube. I apologize. I started seeing it on YouTube. So I got kind of curious about it, and I attended the live seminars, and I was just sold. I was like, this is the training I'm doing this is the training I'm doing. Every year I do a training. I've been doing a training with my teacher in Monterrey, in Iyengar, in the Iyengar method, which is doing yoga with props, and I have ropes here in my house. So every year I do a training, and I did do some training, but I was like, this year I'm just gonna focus on face yoga. That's gonna be my thing. And I was really just convinced by the inspirational stories that I kept seeing of how it was transforming women's lives and empowering them, and them growing their business, and because when I started doing yoga, I thought that was it. I was like, this is how I'm gonna start doing things, and nothing ever kickstarted from that. Or maybe I just didn't throw myself out there as much as I should have, but face yoga gave me that confidence. When I say this, I say it because I've done face yoga at a laundromat, not giving a fly of what people think. That's how much confidence it's given me. So the beginning of my practice started, they gave you if you signed up super early, they also gave you the mastery program. And the mastery program is so transformative. You do 30-minute classes. They have 30-minute classes, maybe 4 times a week. At that time, they were doing them a little bit more. And I was just joining them. Every single live class, I was joining them. And every single live class is so different, and it's so unique. So every single day, the one pose that I do every single day is the wild pose, which is this one. That's the one pose I do every day. I also do my eyes, the V pose. I also do that. And I started to be more consistent. So as a busy mother, I would just do it as I'm washing dishes, do it in the car, or I would also do the bumblebee. Sorry, that one helps kind of create more of the healthy cheeks. And I started to see a significant transformation till I was asked closer to graduation. I graduated in October. So before that, they asked, when we had first started the program, which was in March or April, I want to say it was like mid-March, they asked us to take before photos. And I didn't really think anything of it. I was just like, they're just before photos, whatever. And when I did the after photo, oh my God, what a transformation. And you know, the one thing that's very common with these transformations is that you see a glow in these women's faces. And I was one of those women that got that glow back. There wasn't a lot of change, but there was some change. I was having sagging skin in the cheek area, and I'll show some before and after photos. So like there was more of a sagginess. It's like what's common that's happening is that is that as you age, you're starting to lose fat pads and your bone density starts to decrease. So I'm in my 30s, my fat pads I'm starting to lose more of that. And I noticed that my cheeks or my face was just going forward. Although I'm a yoga teacher, I know the importance of a posture, of posture. I noticed that. I noticed that everything was just kind of going forward. I also have this, from when I was a little girl, I had this very crazy, that's another crazy story for that one. I was told I was going to die. I swallowed water at a swimming pool because I was drowning, or somebody had kind of, I should just say it now. I was at a swimming pool in Mexico and somebody landed on top of me while I was like swimming, and I swallowed water, and then from there I started to grow like this big ball. I don't even know to this day what the condition was called, but I was seen by a lot of doctors and told I was going to die, and then there's this one doctor in Harlingen, Texas, who actually did the procedure on me and removed whatever was in there, and I'm okay after that. So I have this one thing here, going back to this, I have this one thing here. So sometimes when you look at my videos and you see a little bit of a double chin, it's because some of my skin has been removed because of this, I'm trying to think of the word. But anyways, so I had a lot of double chin, and that was like my one thing that I'm like, I hate that I have a double chin. And every day I also follow Coco Face Yoga. She's one of Fumiko's students, and one of the poses that I had seen from her was where you tilt and you stick your tongue up and you just keep doing it. I would do that every single day too, because I'm like, I don't want to have a double chin. But I had better facial awareness. I got that natural glow back. I started to recognize my facial expressions as well. I'm kind of going back to that facial awareness is always doing this. And that's a very common thing with us Hispanic women or Latina women, is that we kind of do a little bit of that when we're angry, and also recognizing when I'm being reactive. So I'm not being mindful. And I'm not perfect. Nobody's perfect in this world. Even if you're a yoga teacher, you are not perfect. You're more challenged, if anything. Beyond the physical changes, I also and I remember saying this on our Facebook group, is that I became a believer in affirmations. And everything that you say, you know how they say that spellings is like a spell, spell. Everything is an affirmation within itself. I'm not a negative person, but I think the things that I was speaking were negative. So I started to notice the change in not my vocabulary, but the change of when I would say things. So I would not react right away. I'd kind of take a step back and try to see like, okay, what is one way I can frame this differently instead of trying to just see the bad in it. My self-esteem also increased, stress reduced. If you've never done a live face yoga class, or if you've never done a face yoga class, like the way it just makes you feel, it's like it just makes you feel so good. And also that connection between the facial and the muscles in the body. I'm such a nerd. When I started doing, I'm a nutritionist first, before even becoming a yoga teacher. So whenever I dived into my yoga teacher training, I was so fascinated by the anatomy. And when I started doing face yoga, I'm like, oh my God, everything's connected. The camel pose, it's stretching the sternocleidomastoid muscle. When you're doing the bow pose, it's also stretching. Like, I started to have more connections or more awareness, like, oh my God, all of this is connecting. Oh my God, I can now put all the pieces together. And now when I do teach classes here, here locally, I implement that. I kind of implement a little bit of face yoga before we even start our class, or I'll do one and then we'll do our body asanas, which are the body postures, and then we'll do a little bit of face yoga before we end the class, and I'll send them off. Some tips for success. I know this is already getting long. The one thing that you can do is be consistent. And when it comes to consistency, find a time, like maybe early in the morning, before you start anything. The one thing that I've been doing now is in the mornings, when you're not even out of bed, you can start doing things. You can start giving you some tapping. You can start giving yourself a scalp massage. You can give yourself a temple massage. You can do a relax and glow, which is one of the poses if you've seen one of my videos. You can do so many things before even getting up. But just being consistent. If you don't have 5 minutes, do it for 1 minute. If you don't want to look at it on a time schedule, do one pose a day, 3 sets, or break it up if you feel like it's just too much. Do one in the morning, one in the afternoon, one before you go to sleep. So easy. Tapping also counts. I think tapping is great for lymphatic drainage, or it is great for lymphatic drainage, but that's something that you can do every single day. And another, or 3 more things. Don't compare yourself. Do not compare yourself to anyone else, because only you are you and only you are unique. So if you start comparing yourself to others, you start to notice other different things. Now I embrace my lines, like my smile lines, because I always do this. So I embrace that line. Now I'm just like, it is what it is. I embrace it. And again, when you start comparing yourself to others, you start to become more critical of yourself, which is not the best thing you want to do when you're actually trying to turn back the clock on the aging process. And we're all going to age. We're all going to become dust at one point, right? But at least the time that you're here, you can take care of yourself. And instead of seeing the glass as half empty, you could see the glass as half full. I like that by Gary Vee. Breathing. So again, this is tips for success: consistency, non-comparisons, and breathing. Breathing is so important because it brings more circulation and more nutrients to your face. I have a background, again, in teaching yoga and in pranayama, which is more of the art of breathing. And when I teach students, don't forget to breathe, inhale, exhale, as you're doing your movements. It brings you back it also brings you back to the present moment. It also brings you back to the present moment. But when you're doing asanas, yes, it keeps you connected, but you're bringing more air into the lungs and increasing the diaphragm to open as well. So that's the third one. And then another thing is proper techniques. There's a lot of people who teach facial exercises, but what couple of things you can see the differences is if they're overstretching the skin, that's already a no-no. If you're tensing up in your neck and your shoulders, that's already a no-no too. This is very important. Again, the body is connected to the face, so if you're not already having that connection, at least have that awareness that, okay, I need to have a yogi body posture. I have to keep myself relaxed. And also, less is better. This is the one thing that you'll probably get annoyed of hearing from me. When you do less, when you give your practice 80% instead of 100, you're not overdoing it. So that's another tip for success. Consistency, don't compare yourself, breathing, and proper techniques. I invite you to stay tuned for more inspirational content to start your face yoga journey. I hope this message brings you some clarity on why you should start a face yoga practice, but this is my experience of how face yoga has changed my life. Namaste.